Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, and this is my review for Alone in the Dark 2024. So dear viewer, if you don't mind, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video. Alone in the Dark 2024 released on the 20th of March, and this is a remake slash reboot slash reimagining of 1992's Alone in the Dark, a game that some people have said if it didn't exist, neither would Resident Evil. And speaking of Resident Evil, I absolutely adore that franchise. In fact, I'm a massive horror fanatic in general. Frankenstein, Jason Voorhees, The Bloody Exorcist, Alien, and yes, Alien is a horror movie, get over it. So, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to horror, but how is Alone in the Dark 2024? Well, I'm so glad you asked, dear viewer. Let's begin as we always do by talking about the story. We play as either Hopper from Stranger Things or Killing Eve from Killing Eve as they turn up at a manor in Louisiana to look for Killing Eve's uncle or some such nonsense. The story is rather bonkers and features a cult, a demon tree, flashbacks to traumatic events in our lead character's past, the occasional toilet break. Actually, not that last one, but the story here is bonkers. What isn't so bonkers is the gameplay. Now this is your very standard third-person survival horror affair. As in, you'll explore the manor, some other locations, collecting items, solving basic puzzles, unlocking doors, and occasionally fighting creatures. And while the creatures in this game look like something that H.R. Giger dreamt up in a wet dream, sadly, they're not all that intimidating, and once you've encountered the first couple of them, they just become a nuisance more than anything. Luckily, there is 2 boss fights at the very end of the game that you can look forward to. And sadly, while I appreciated having boss fights in the game, because for the majority of my playthrough I was thinking to myself, O.C.G, oh chap, where the fuck is the boss fights? Turns out they're in the last 10 minutes of the game. But the final boss in particular is a complete pain in the arse, and not in the good way. Right, so let's get to the nitty-gritty. What did I think of this game? Well, I have played every single Alone in the Dark game, and I kind of, sort of like them. I've not ever really played an Alone in the Dark game that's blown me away, and I still haven't. While this is a very competent survival horror game, it is rather, well, dull at times. It's not particularly exciting. The voice acting is very flat. The graphics look kind of dated for PS5 standards. The monster design isn't great. The monster variety isn't great. The game isn't scary at all. It isn't particularly fun. There isn't really any set pieces to speak of, apart from the lead up to the final boss, which is quite dramatic. I mean, yes, you can play as 2 different characters, but again, you could do that in Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, so that's not really anything new here. Overall, it's okay. I played worse. I played a hell of a lot better. Hello, Resident Evil. But if you're into horror games like I am, I'm sure you'll have fun with this one. Therefore, I declare that Alone in the Dark 2024 is going to get a nice, shiny 7 out of 10 from me. Though, is it closer to a 6? No, I'm going to be fair to the game and stick with my 7. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my totally not improvised review for Alone in the Dark 2024. If you enjoyed this little review of mine, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, well then feel free to give me a thumbs down. But please remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, and that is to always stay obsessed. Are you still here? Oh, you must have really enjoyed this video then. In that case, you had better subscribe to the channel and check out our other content. Otherwise, you're a booby pants, and no one wants to be a booby pants.